the FCS CheckDown week number 11 preview. Fired up, Coach Jackson, Nathan McCreary, Coach Ron Jackson, I should say. Nathan McCreary bringing this one to you. And Coach, man, looking at this schedule, boy, it's a big week here for FCS football. You fired up?
Yeah, we're getting down to the proverbial apple cutting here this weekend. There are going to be some teams that realize their dreams. There are going to be some teams that going to need some help after Saturday.
No doubt. Well, let's go ahead and jump in. We're going to talk about helmet stickers, give away some helmet stickers. We're going to do a conference rundown, preview week 11, and then talk about the playoff picture. I got my stack of paper here, so let's go ahead and jump right into our helmet stickers segment. Coach Jackson, I'm going to go through a couple offense, defense, and special team standouts for the week. And first is Idaho State's Dason Brooks, who powered the Bengals offense to a 38-36 upset over UC Davis. Redshirt junior rushed for 219 yards and 2 touchdowns in that game, Coach Jackson. Big time, 9.1 yards per attempt. That's a big rush. Very, very happy for him. Monmouth's Rodney Nelson set a new career high for rushing, 244 yards with 2 touchdowns on 34 carries, 7.2 yards per carry. And Monmouth set 35-7 win at Bryant. As Chris Monstrangelo checking in, he is our picker for this afternoon, so this evening. So it'll be interesting to kind of get his take on this as the game. There you go. How about that, Coach? The game picks as we get started. North Carolina Central wideout Chauncey Spikes had caught 9 passes for a career high 208 yards and 3. Hey, here comes Brandon Joseph. Well, heck, let's do this. Let's get Brandon in here. Where's our little doohickey? Here we go. Here he is. Hey, Brandon.
Hello.
Hey, so we're going through our helmet stickers. North Carolina Central wide receiver Chauncey Spikes caught 9 passes for a career-high 208 yards and 3 touchdowns, and the Eagles' 35-14 win over Howard. Wide receiver Rashad Rochelle from Indiana State returned a kickoff 95 yards for a touchdown to open the game against South Dakota State and added 4 receptions and 84 yards and 2 more scores for the Sycamores as they topped the Jackrabbits 24-12. Special teams offense player there, Brandon Atkinson, the quarterback there for Mercer, had a standout week, 434 yards of total offense, accounting for 5 touchdowns in Mercer's 52-28 win at Furman. The freshman threw 4 touchdown passes and ran for another score. EKU's Marcus Calwise. I don't know why that's hard for me to say. Go ahead, Coach.
Cowwise.
Yeah, Cowwise. Oh, I got you all wonky on the thing. I have to fix your heads here. Yeah, had a career single game with a 3 touchdown catches and 106 yards, and EKU's road win against Central Arkansas. So good stuff there from those offensive folks. Brandon, how the heck are you, man? Thanks for jumping in and taking some time with us here tonight.
Yeah, we are downstairs in the future movie room.
Love it.
The entertainment room. So it's full of moving stuff, but we got a little mini studio set up because we haven't gotten around to building the actual studio at the house.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's always great to have you. There you go, Coach Jackson. I put you in a little bit of a better place there. All right. Defense, we got Idaho State's Nathan Reynolds anchored the Bengal defense with 7 tackles and a game-sealing interception. Trey Moore for San Diego finished with 6 tackles and 2 for loss and a sack. He had an interception in San Diego's 31-13 win over Dayton, which was a big one. How about this name? Maximus Pulley. Defensive back out of Wofford. He had 7 tackles and including an assist for a loss, 2 interceptions, and a pass deflection as Wofford defeated Sanford 26-16. And then Abilene Christian's Rashawn Miles Jr. topped the Wildcats defense with 11 total tackles, including 6 solo stops in their homecoming victory and an in-state rival Tarleton. Great defense there. And the only 2 special teams folks I have is Jack Stoll out of Central Connecticut. He blocked the the kick against the game for the game tying attempt. He also had 12 tackles and 8 solo, 2.5 tackles for a loss there. And then Nicholas Romero for Wagner. He's a freshman kicker out of Pembroke Pines, Florida. He went 3 for 3 with a walk-off 28-yarder in Wagner's win. So just some helmet stickers to give away for those folks. And Brandon, have you got a chance to look at the Week 11 schedule? Cow-wise, thank you, Steve McKenzie. Yeah, cow-wise. I don't know why it's hard for me to say that. But anyway, Brandon, have you got a chance to look at this Week 11 schedule yet?
Yeah, just browsing over Week 11. I mean, it's getting to the point where a lot of teams that, are in matchups where they shouldn't lose. But we're at that point also where, anything can happen and there's not a lot of time to recover at that point too. So we get the matchups that we know about, but a team like West Georgia going to Florence to play in North Alabama, that's a game, you always got to keep your eye on for games like that. And how does South Dakota State respond against South Dakota? Both those teams probably in need of a victory. I think for different reasons. I think South Dakota State in need of a victory to re-enter the conversation of being a potential national championship team. I don't think they're that, and I said it in the preseason show. But South Dakota trying to insert themselves and be a formidable playoff team. So you have a dichotomy of games going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to talk about a conference rundown real quick. Big games in the Big Sky. We're going to talk a lot about the Big Sky this week because of how important the schedule is. Montana and Eastern Washington, we'll talk about them. Tennessee Tech, it does not play this week in the Big South. CAA, Rhode Island, Elon, and then Monmouth has New Hampshire. Both those are really important games. And Harvard, they're playing this week, but they don't have an opponent that's going to be too much. You do have NDSU, as Brandon mentioned, playing North Dakota, and Western Carolina and Mercer. I think it's probably one of the key matchup that we'll talk about. Sela has Lamar and Abilene Christian, Utah Tech there for the rundown in the conference. These are big games, so we're going to take a look at the games for the week. Our preview, we're going to start with that Monmouth and New Hampshire game. They're at Kessler Stadium, West Long Branch, New Jersey. Chris Monstrangelo, they've never beaten New Hampshire. They're 0-3. Matter of fact, the last meeting was 33-20. New Hampshire picked up the win. This season's a little bit different. New Hampshire, 23 points per game. They're allowing opponents to 22 points per game, where Monmouth, we know they can put up big points, but they're averaging almost 30 points per game. And guys, they're allowing offenses to rack up 430 yards per game. Chris, if you have any insights on whether Derek Robertson's going to play or not, that could be helpful. Monmouth is turning to Rodney Nelson. He's having a dominant season. He's already got 1,400 plus yards and 15 touchdowns. Of course, Derek Robinson, massive numbers, over 2,400 yards and 27 touchdowns in 7 games. He's in structured rehab for his arm. His games he's still questionable. He's week to week. And then you look at quarterback Matt Visa for New Hampshire, 1,800 yards, 17 touchdowns, 6 rushing touchdowns. And then Caleb Burke leads the receiving corps with 556 yards and 19 fewer points per game for Monmouth and New Hampshire. Guys, I think this can be a really, really dangerous game for Monmouth. You got to stick. I think you got to stick with the hot hand. I think you go with Monmouth in this game, but New Hampshire's got some talent, and it's going to come down to defenses, Coach Jackson. You've kind of been harping on this Monmouth defense all season long.
Yeah, it's a very formidable opponent coming into New Jersey this weekend. But you know what? I like Monmouth. I like what they I think they're a team that's kind of gotten to the point that they're playing complementary football. They've played a little bit better on the defensive side of the ball the last 2 weeks. So I don't look for it to be a blowout. I still look for Monmouth to put up 30, 35 points, and I look for New Hampshire maybe to put up 21. But I'm gonna go with Monmouth during this one.
Yeah, I'm with Monmouth. Brandon, what are you thinking here?
The tough thing is in this game is if Robertson doesn't play, you turn to Frankie Weaver. The thing about Weaver is, and we can talk about the Monmouth defense is, okay, they're really good when they're on schedule, when, they're not forced, after 2 plays to go back out there
Yeah.
because there's a turnover. Frankie Weaver threw 2 interceptions in that Bryant game. That could be a factor as well. So as good as we know Monmouth's defense can be, they're really good on schedule. I think if Robertson plays, there's no question about who wins this game, and I think it's Monmouth going away. I lean towards Monmouth in this game, despite the Weaver factor, because one, Weaver is still capable. He threw for almost 200 or over 200 yards in that Bryant game. Threw for 2 touchdowns in that game as well. They're going to use the run game to kind of dictate the tempo of the game. I think it could be a close game. I'm talking about 10, 12 points in that regard, and that gives us the perfect factor of, okay, if you're 10, 12 points, that's a 2-score game. You lose a turnover battle in that realm, you could be on the wrong side of that margin. But I'm going to take Monmouth, but it's going to be a real tight game.
Yeah, Chris Monstrongolo played at Monmouth. He's our guest picker this week. He did great, by the way. I think he was 14-1 the first week, so he really got the guest pickers back on board. By the way, Sean Anderson went 7-4 last week. Coach Jackson, you went 7-4. Brandon and I both went 8-3. But yeah, I have a feeling Chris Monstrongolo is picking Monmouth in this one. That's where he played. Quality logos for both teams, so that won't be a factor. Yeah. Very nice, Stephen McKenzie. Yep, absolutely. Coach Jackson had nothing really to say about those logos. Monmouth across the board, they should take care of New Hampshire. Frankie Weaver is going to have a lot of pressure on him and manage the game, hand the ball off to Rodney Nelson a lot. That's what I'm going to say is going to happen. All right, up next, it's Tennessee Tech in Eastern Illinois. The Gargoyles, the last meeting, Tennessee Tech walloped Eastern Illinois 23-6, but the series history belongs to EIW. It should be a good one. It's going to be Kiko Vesperis bringing his 1,953 yards, 21 touchdowns, and just 3 interceptions, 65% completion percentage, and Quintel Quinn with 9 rushing touchdowns, and Quadarius Jennings with 9 rushing touchdowns. They are a two-headed monster in the backfield, facing Eastern Illinois, a team that allows about 250 yards per game. They're giving up about, 25, 26 points per game. They do have a problem at quarterback. Connor Wolf and Cole LaCroix have been kind of splitting time. Connor Wolf been ineffective, 809 yards, 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Cole LaCroix, 490 yards, only 1 touchdown and 5 interceptions. Running back Charles Keelam has 3 touchdowns. Cole LaCroix also has 7 rushing touchdowns, so he's a major running threat, averaging 4.5 points for yards per carry. Listen, I think there's no reason to think that Tennessee Tech isn't going to go in here and whip Illinois State, but that's the problem. Is that you look at Indiana State and South Dakota. You never know how this one's going to play out. But, again, you have a game that I think all arrows are going to point to Tennessee Tech, Brandon.
Yeah, Tennessee Tech. Kiko Vesperis is the best player on the field on both sides of the ball. So I lean towards him. 21 touchdowns, 3 interception. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be particularly close. Give me Tennessee Tech.
Coach Jackson.
It's a tough trip up to Eastern Illinois from Cokeville, Tennessee. But Tennessee Tech's got a good ball team. They've got a fantastic defense. I think it might get away from Eastern Illinois maybe a little late. Just because Tennessee Tech leans on you a little bit. I expect it to be close, and then probably second half Tennessee Tech walks away with it. But give me the Golden Eagles.
Yeah, and I think the media continues to give Tennessee Tech ammo. It seems like there's a lot of people who still think it's smoke and mirrors. Their strength of schedule isn't what it needs to be. And, Steve McKenzie, hey, they're for real. They shouldn't have a problem. Exactly. And if they want to shut up some of those the media pundits, and pundits got a pundit, we understand that. But, they need to pick up a win here and a dominating win at that, in my opinion. All right. Moving on, it's Villanova in Towson. Villanova enters the game ranked in the top 10, riding a 5-game winning streak in conference play, establishing itself a top contender there in the CAA. Towson struggled a little bit. They've kind of been up and down. They had a massive 62-9 road win earlier. Their quarterback Endorf was named the CAA Freshman of the Week. Villanova putting up 31 points per game. Towson about 27 points per game. Both teams are allowing about 25 points per game. Villanova has a slight edge in the scoring, however, in offense and defense. Towson relies more on a heavy passing game, 244 yards per game, while only rushing for under 100 yards per game. Villanova shows a more balanced 150 yards rushing, 226 yards passing per game. Both defenses give up similar points, so it should be interesting. Pat McQuaid, the quarterback for Villanova, 1,700 yards, 13 touchdowns. David Avit, the running back there, 8 touchdowns. And Luke Colella is their leading wide receiver. He's got 5 touchdowns and almost 800 yards receiving, where that freshman Andrew Endorf, over 1,800 yards passing, 11 touchdowns, just 3 interceptions for the young man. Coach Jackson, you recognize Al Wooten II. He's their leading rusher with 4 touchdowns, and Jason Doss is the leading wide receiver. This one's going to be interesting. I think this one may be where I go against the mainstream. Oh my God, Brandon's disappeared. In my opinion, I'm going to stick with Towson at home against Villanova. I just kind of feel like Nova still has some questions. I like the young quarterback. He's got nothing to lose going against a Villanova, a ranked opponent. Give me Towson on the upset here is my pick, Coach Jackson.
That's not a bad pick. Not that I don't think that you put some thought into it. I'm be honest with you. I'm a little surprised when the playoff committee comes out with their top 10 today that Villanova's on the outside of the top 10. I think that's I don't know that they're getting quite the respect that they should get. Now they'll bring their defense. So I think for Villanova to get the kind of respect that they are looking for, being that top 10, they need a big win. So I think they go into towns that handle their business and may pull away from them. I don't think it's going to be close. Give me Villanova.
All right. Chris Monstrongolo also with Nova there in the chat as our guest picker. Steve McKenzie said this one could be close. I'm with you. Brandon's coming back in style. Villanova and Towson. Brandon, what are you thinking?
Villanova. I am the biggest fan of, as we cross into November, Villanova.
It's because Brian Finneran got in your head is what I believe.
Villa November.
All right.
Okay.
I'm actually feeling that, actually. I like that one. That one's a good one. Yeah. All right. Up next, you crack me up, Brandon. Comes right in, freaking hot.
I got a 3-year-old that refusing to go to sleep. My life is in shambles.
It's the way it is, though. That's just the way it is. All right, up next, we'll roll through this. Illinois, it's the battle of the ISUs, Illinois State. When I said Illinois State before, I meant Eastern Illinois when I was talking about the Gargles. Illinois State and Indiana State play at Memorial Stadium in Terre Haute, Indiana. They're at 1 o'clock on ESPN+. Last meeting, Illinois State picked up a win over Indiana State, 31-19. Illinois State also leads the all-time series, 41-32. The Redbirds coming off a road win, while Sycamore is riding high off that upset of South Dakota State. Tommy Rittenhouse, 1,500 passing yards, 20 touchdowns. Running back Winkers Wright for almost 500 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns. And Daniel Sopkowitz, a great wide receiver there for Illinois State, 582 yards, 7 touchdowns. He leads the MVFC in this category. And then you look at the Indiana State Sycamores, Nick Osho, 559 yards rushing, 7 touchdowns. Keegan Patterson, 723 yards passing and 5 touchdowns. And they also have that quarterback Elijah Owens, who has rushed for 3 games. If he has to come in, they can do some things out of different positions. Defensively, you got the linebacker Ty Niekamp. What a hero he is, a linebacker, very, very talented for Illinois State. And then Sebastian Lopez, a kicker for Indiana State. He's made 5 of 8 field goals on the team. Very, very big-time weapon for them. Illinois State, number 16 team in the country. Indiana State coming off that huge win. Coach Jackson, what are you thinking here?
Give me Illinois State in the Neck Roll Bowl, and you're gonna have a lot of tackles made by a lot of guys with Jablowski as their last name. Game's
Love it.
probably gonna last about an hour and 45 minutes because they don't do nothing but run the ball the whole time. So 17-16 Illinois State.
Yeah, Illinois State. Chris Monstrongolo's with Illinois State too. Yeah, I'm with Illinois State. Tommy Rittenhouse has got me. I'm a believer. Winker's right. We talked about him a lot last year, and this year did not having as much of an impactful season, but he's still there. And Ty Niekamp is legit. He's going to get some offers, I think, to transfer. So Illinois State for me as well, Brandon.
Yeah, I think Illinois State wins this game. They win it handily, and then the Indiana State victory over South Dakota State kind of looks worse, just because of the fact I don't envision this being much of a competitive game. I think Illinois State will handle Indiana State.
Yeah. Illinois State across the board. All right, up next, we got St. Thomas and Drake. Last season, Drake eked out a win, 22-19 over St. Thomas. The series is tied with St. Thomas winning the first two, Drake winning the last two. Statistically, these teams are pretty close. St. Thomas has the edge in offensive output, and their opponents they're only allowing 17 points per game, both of them. It should be an interesting one. Andy Peters, the quarterback there for St. Thomas, 1,800 yards passing and 17 touchdowns. Wide receiver Quentin Cobb Butler of 707 receiving yards, whereas Drake, Logan Inagawa is their quarterback, 8 touchdowns. He's approaching 1,000 yards passing. And Nick Herman, paging Mr. Herman. Mr. Herman, you have a telephone call. For Drake, the running back, 494 yards rushing. This one can be interesting. Drake has got to win. They're undefeated. They're in the Pioneer Football League. I think that this could be a bit of a trap game if they're not careful, gentlemen. I still feel like I'm going to go with Drake on this one just because I really like the way they've been playing down the stretch. Yeah, Steve McKenzie says Drake's the best team in the Pioneer League. What say you, Brandon?
I will never pick against my people. I am a Tommy through and through. I have no ties other than emotion to the St. Thomas Tommies. I will never doubt the Tommies, and they're playing pretty good football.
Yeah,
I think their quarterback Peters will lead them in the victory. Give me the Tommies to shock the world.
All right, everyone loves the Drake. Says Seinfeld, Coach Jackson. What are you thinking?
Well, the game's in Iowa, so the Drake's got a home game, and when the hotline blings, that can only mean one thing. So let me have Drake.
All right, Brandon out on an island with Drake.
I'll go to war with my Tommies.
You missed the interview with the head coach. I told him, I said, you're a big fan, and, he didn't seem to care, so.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. All right, here we go. Rhode Island and Elon is the next one we're going to talk about. Let me throw this pieces of paper away so I can get to my thing. They're kind of stuck together. Talk amongst yourselves. There we go. Okay, last meeting. Well, they didn't play in 2024. Matter of fact, they last met in 2022. The series belongs to Elon, 4-2. Elon lost that game back in 2022. Rhode Island comes in as the number 10 team in the country in some polls, 14 in the others, 7-2 and 5-0 in the CAA. It's going to be traveling to Rhodes Stadium. But that's not Rhode Island Stadium. That is Elon Phoenix Stadium. Don't get confused. We got you. Devin Farrell, the quarterback there for Rhode Island, over 2,400 yards passing, 16 touchdowns. He is their 13th in the FCS in passing yards per game. Antoine Littleton Jr., 700 yards almost, 7 rushing touchdown. He leads URI's ground threat. And then Marquez Buchanan, 870 receiving yards with 4 receiving touchdowns. Very, very good. And then how about Moses Davis Muse, 18 total tackles a couple weeks ago, leads the team in total stops. He is a stud, absolutely. Then Landon Clark leads the Elon Phoenix with 1,800 yards passing, 11 passing touchdowns. He's a dual threat running a quarterback. He can run the ball. Jimmy Williams is their running back, 3 rushing touchdowns, and Isaiah Furman, spelled real funny, Fuhrmann. He's got 4 receiving touchdowns as well. He's the most productive Phoenix wide receiver. Pretty interesting matchup here. Rhode Island usually has a stumble in the season. They're 5-0. Coach Jackson, give me your thoughts.
Man, it's going to be my first. And listen, I got Rhode Island colors on right now.
Yeah, you do.
Their logo is absolute trash. I believe it hinders them this weekend. I'm picking the upset. I'm going to go with the Elon Phoenix.
All right. It looks like Chris Monstrongolo's with you. He's got the Phoenix winning this one as well. I'm sticking with Rhode Island. I don't like the pick. I really don't like the pick, Brandon, but I'm going to stick with Rhode Island. I feel like every time I pick with Rhode Island, they lose. Every time I picked with Elon, they lose. It's a toss-up for me here. Rhode Island for me just because.
Yeah, the thing about Elon is Road Stadium's a really tough place to play. They win a lot of games at home at Road Stadium. Looking back, they also lose a big game a year at Road Stadium. I think that was a Villanova game earlier this year. Elon at home is kind of the lean there. Theoretically, in terms of gambling, you get like 3 points if you're home. I kind of shade FCS wise Elon at home. You give them a little bit more. I think Elon can pull the upset in this one. I'll take the Phoenix. I kind of lean with these guys on this one. Yes, Rhode Island has the better quarterback. They probably have a slight advantage in the skill position players, but there's just something about Road Stadium and the Phoenix at home.
I'm shocked. All 3. All right, I'm the lone wolf here, picking Rhode Island, the ranked team who's 5-0 in the conference. You knuckleheads are going to be regretting that one, in my opinion. All right, here we go. It's Southern Illinois against Youngstown State. This one should be a great football game. And where'd I put my dang sheet? Wait for it. Anyway, it's good. Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. 21 versus 15, Stanball Stadium there in Youngstown, Ohio. It's a 2:00 afternoon game on ESPN Plus. You know what? The Penguins. All right, guys, give me a guess. Better logo, Brandon. Penguins or Salukis?
Probably a Penguin.
I'm with you, Coach Jackson.
I like I like that particular penguin better than that sock puppet thing that SIU's got right there.
All right. In chat, let us know who you got, because the last meeting, Youngstown State and SIU, Youngstown State picked up the victory. Matter of fact, they lead the series 20-14 and won. Southern Illinois' DJ Williams, he's back from that injury. He's had a great season, 2,023 yards passing, 15 touchdowns, and he's also the leading rusher with almost 600 yards and 13 touchdowns. I mean, 28 touchdowns for the guy. He is a stud. Vincent Davis III is their leading wide receiver with 664 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then you go to Youngstown State. Bo Brungard. He's the name. They played so good against North Dakota State last weekend. He's got over 2,000 yards, 14 touchdowns. He's their leading rusher with over 1,000 yards and 16 touchdowns. That means it's 30 touchdowns for Bo Brungard on the ground and through the air. And then they got that wide receiver, Max Tomczak, with 664 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns. Andrew Beam, whatever his name is, he's got a big-time linebacker. He's a big-time linebacker there for Southern Illinois. And then Preston Zandier and Michael Wells lead the team defensively for Youngstown State. All right. Coach Jackson, I'll let you start here.
Well, it depends. I wish I could wait till the game kicked off. I love both. But both those guys do a great job. If Youngstown State comes out in them red tops and the black bottoms, I'm probably going to vomit. So I would pick.
You like Tennessee Tech in their light and dark bottoms. What?
But, yeah, that red and black like that don't hit the same. Now, because it's a home game.
Yeah,
I think the best. It'd probably be one of the better games that we watch on Saturday. But I have to go with the home team. I'm going with Doug Phillips, and honestly, If Youngstown State wants to take that next step, they've got to start protecting their house a little bit better. So I'm going to go with Youngstown.
Yeah, good call there, Coach Brandon.
The thing about this matchup is Southern Illinois and Youngstown State, their offense goes about the same way. Their quarterback is also the leading rusher. They have one primary receiver, and both those receivers, if you take a look at the stats, have 664 yards receiving. So the defenses match up. If they go 1v1 on defense, they're used to seeing the type of offense they're going to face on Saturday. I think that's a big key in the game. For Youngstown State, they were able to put 30 points on NDSU. I think that's huge for them. While, for Illinois, Southern Illinois, they played a Murray State team that not the same caliber. I'm leaning towards Youngstown State in this game. Big shout out to Max Tomczak. He's the nephew of former NFL player, Super Bowl champion Mike Tomczak, who's also on the coaching staff there. But for Youngstown State, to Coach Jackson's point, they need to play better at home in these big games. I just think the margin of coming off that NDSU game, if they can replicate what they did well in that game, they should win this game against Southern Illinois.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Youngstown State, they got to protect the house. Just looking at the stats, DJ Williams is everything for Southern Illinois. You got to stop him. Youngstown State, you got to stop Bo Brungard. Not easy. But also, Max Tomczak is a huge threat. So give me Youngstown State in this one. I think Chris Monstrangelo also went Youngstown State. So that's across the board for that game, Youngstown State. And I wouldn't be surprised if Southern Illinois picked up the win. That's just the way it goes sometimes. All righty. Rolling right through. This is a big one. North Dakota State and North Dakota in Alerus Center in Cedar Falls, North Dakota. It should be a good one. North Dakota State walloped North Dakota last year 41-17. They lead the series 51-63 and 3 ties. You got Cole Payton with 1,800 yards through the air, and he's got 11 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, 75% completion percentage, leads in the FCS in that category. He's also a dual threat with 10 touchdowns on the ground, 612 yards rushing. Barika Panu, the running back there for NDSU, is approaching 700 yards. He's got 12 touchdowns. And Jerry Kamansky, the North Dakota quarterback, 1,800 yards, 22 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 61% completion percentage. This is going to get interesting, gentlemen. North Dakota, they also have that running back Sawyer Siddell. Then you think about other weapons for North Dakota State with Bryce Lance. And then North Dakota, they got B.J. Fleming and Sawyer Siddell also out of the backfield. This one's going to be an interesting one. I do believe that NDSU should pick up the win here, and so that's what I'm going to go with. But if North Dakota, that was a bad loss they took last week, Brandon Joseph, to South Dakota. So that's my big problem with them right now.
You see this look on my face?
Yes.
Do you think there's any chance I'm picking against North Dakota State right now?
No.
This team is clear cut. They're number one with a bullet. Do I need to give analysis on this game, or can we just all pick North Dakota State to win?
Yeah. North Dakota State, but I got to get the chats in here. Monstrangelo, North Dakota, no question. New Age. Whoa. I hit the wrong button. Guy says, got to go with the Bison. Good to see a New Age. Yeah, absolutely. Chris Monstrangelo even says blowout in this one, Coach Jackson. What do you think?
The final score is not going to be indicative to how good or bad North Dakota is, but it will be indicative to how good North Dakota State is. I don't think it's close. I think they, to use a baseball terminology, I think they run rule their little brother pretty quickly Saturday.
Okay, I got you. Loud and clear. We're all North Dakota State across the board on that one.
Really quick, are we talking about like potentially 6 teams in from the Missouri Valley Football Conference?
Dude, I'm telling you.
Because
that they're the only conference that's going to get close to it.
Conventionally, you would say no conference should get 6 teams in there, but I know the history of this committee, they would probably put 6 teams in from the Missouri Valley Football Conference.
Yeah, we shall see. And this is where a loss, a North Dakota State loss, would really, really cause problems. It really will. All right. By By the way, this is the Nickel Trophy on the line for this one. My notes are all over the place. Okay. Up next, we've got Eastern Washington and Montana State. Montana, the Grizz. It's there at Washington Grizzly Stadium, Missoula, Montana, 3 o'clock on ESPN Plus. The Grizz, number 2 in the country. Eastern Washington is not a team we've talked about very much this year so far. Nate Bell is their quarterback, 1,000 yards passing. He has 7 touchdowns. He's also their leading rusher. He has 7 touchdowns and 663 yards on the ground. Receiver Noah Cronquist has got just 315 yards receiving. Defensively, Reed Sun has got over 70 tackles and 9 tackles for loss. Jalen Jenkins is a real stud there for Eastern Washington. He's got 4 interceptions, and Tylen Jackson, 2.5 sacks. Then you look at Montana Grizz, Kelly Ayotte, 2,500 yards, 19 touchdowns. Eli Gilman with 965 yards. Michael Wortham. These are big names for Montana. And throw in Blake Bohannon, who had a big game last week for the Grizz. Eastern Washington on the road at Montana. I kind of have a feeling we're all feeling the same way about this one. Coach Jackson.
Yeah, I'll make it quick. Montana's going to beat the brakes off Eastern Washington, but we really need to address the elephant in the room, and that's that lousy logo that Eastern Washington's got. I don't know what it is about FCS teams that think it's a flex to make it where you have to figure out what the letters are in the flipping logo.
Yeah.
That is it makes the bird look robotic. It's not very intimidating, and
you can only go one way. So on one side of your helmet, the bird's facing backwards.
Yeah, they deserve to get the feathers beat off of them. The nickel trophy is not going to be worth a quarter. Give me the Grizzly.
New Age said that the nickel trophy hasn't been a thing since Montana went to D1, but I still like the idea behind it. Yeah, I'm with the Grizzlies on this one, Brandon. They really opened up and found some new weapons in Blake Bohannon last week. I think that makes them much more dangerous, and I think that means that Eli Gilman's probably going to get a lot of carries and pick up a lot of yards in this one.
Yeah, the thing you also want to watch defensively for Montana, they have 5 linebackers with 25-plus tackles. That's going to be the way they neutralize this Nate Bell experience for Eastern Washington. They're going to try to use him in the run game. Well, the Grizz will just throw that second level at them, and if they can get pressure up the middle, that's going to be the best way and force them into the containment. That's going to be huge for Montana. I think they have the ability to stop the Bell run game and force him to have to throw the ball. And also, they're going to be up. I think they're going to be able to score. You mentioned all the weapons that they have offensively. So then you take a team that relies on their quarterback to run, to open up the passing game. You're going to neutralize that. So I think Montana, this is going to get out of hand. I lean towards that as well. Montana's going to win probably, 3+ scores easily.
Oh, I don't know if it's going to be that big of a score, but I think they'll probably pick up. I think they'll win by more than 10, is what I would suggest. By the way, Coach Houck is probably one of the meanest looking human beings on the face of the earth. And we tried to interview him last year, and the reply we got was, he doesn't do podcasts, sorry. Okay, thank you, goodbye, I'm out of here. No problem. There might be a problem in the SoCon, as it's Mercer and Western Carolina. You're talking about a playoff clinching game here at E.J. Whitmore in Cullowhee, North Carolina. It's a 2:30 kickoff. Going to be a fun one. Mercer allowing scoring 38 points per game, and they're only allowing 16 points per game. They got a stout offense and a stout defense, where Western Carolina putting up 37 points per game. They're only allowing, 32 points per game. That's a problem. We've kind of talked about that. We know what Kerwin Bell is and how he does things, and it's going to be that quarterback, Teron Dickens, for Western Carolina, 2,200 yards, 26 touchdowns, and interception, and James Tyree, 614 yards receiving, 7 touchdowns, and then the ground rushing game, Kamuri Reed and Patrick Boyd Jr., they are a tandem there for Western Carolina. And then you've got that young quarterback for Mercer, Braden Atkinson has been absolutely fantastic. 2,484 yards, 25 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Jerry Rice award type material here for Braden Atkinson. Agitate Dabbs is their leading wide receiver, and C.J. Miller is their rusher. Sacks. Andrew Zox got 9 sacks there for Mercer. Very interesting. This is what I'm going to check out. No doubt about it. Chris Monstrangelo has already put in his pick. He says it's going to be Western Carolina. I'm going to go with Mercer on this one. I love what the young freshman quarterback's doing. Western Carolina had those bumps without Teron Dickens. So give me Mercer on this one, Coach Jackson.
It offensively, I think it's a push. Special teams, I think Mercer's got better special teams than West Carolina does. I think the game's going to be in Cullowhee. But defensively, I don't mind telling you. I'm thinking about naming the Mercer defense in my will, so there'll be pallbearers at my funeral so they can let me down just one more time.
Ew.
And I think Saturday. So I just don't think defensively they're going to be able to stop Mercer. So give me the Bears.
Wow. Okay. That's a little surprise pick. Brandon, who you got here?
I'll give you a set of numbers, 23-3. 23 sacks allowed by Western Carolina, only 3 sacks allowed by Mercer. You mentioned the defensive lineman for the Bears, 9 sacks in Zoc. You have to believe he'll be able to get home on Dickens. So I just, based off of that, and to Coach Jackson's point, the offenses are so equal. You have to look at what's the tangible difference. The ability to get home for Mercer has been big for them the whole year defensively, and the allowance to allow sacks. And listen, Dickens is a bit of a scrambler, so he will have those negative plays in the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have a guy like Zoc that loves to get in the backfield and to wreak havoc, and you just feel very confident if you're Mike Jacobs and the defensive staff of just heat it up, light them up, and get after the quarterback. I have to lean Mercer in this one.
Okay. Mercer, and Monstrangelo has Western Carolina. That irritates me. We'll see how it pans out. All right, up next, it's another very, very close contest here in the Southland. Lamar took a bad loss. They're 4-1 in the conference. Southeastern Louisiana at 5-0 at Provost Humphrey Stadium in Beaumont, Texas, at Lamar's home stadium. 4:00 p.m. kickoff on ESPN+. This one is going to be a fantastic one. Lamar dropped the game last year, but it was a close one, 30-27. Sela owns the series 11-5, and they've been back and forth over the last couple years. Prolific offense for the Lions. They're averaging 38 points per game, over 400 yards per offense on average, which ranks second there in the conference. The offensive leaders for Sela is Calvin Smith Jr. and DeAndre Jackson. He's got 7 touchdowns. Carson Camp, 1,313 yards, 11 touchdowns. And Jalen Domingo is with an EAU at X at the end, 63 yards. Defensive leaders, KK Reno leads in tackles. And then Lamar, they're averaging 25 points per game, 22.4 points per game allowed. Xavier Coleman is leading them through on the ground with 364, over 400 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Aiden McCown is the name you're looking for, though. Over 1,000 yards passing, 7 touchdowns. He is a stud. He can get it done. Lamar was in the playoff hunt, but because that loss, they don't really have anything left to lose. This could be a trap game for Southeastern Louisiana, and I'm really worried about this one. So, Brandon, I'll let you start because you give the best insight.
Well, here's going to be the thing, and I hate talking this much defense and praising defense because naturally I'm just more of an offensive guy. Lamar is going to have to double that wide receiver Domingo, Jalen Domingo. If they can successfully double him and take him out of the equation. Southeastern Louisiana's next leading receiver has 175 yards. Domingo has 630 yards. So they're going to say who's going to be the next guy up. Now, can Lamar double and take away option number 1? Yeah, because they have 4 or 5 defensive backs that are very good with the pass breakup game. They can get after it, and you kind of trust those guys in coverage. Now, scheme-wise, I think if you're Lamar, you're going to have to just try to man them up and give them help over the top with a safety. I don't think you want to necessarily be playing these zone games because I think Sela can take advantage of that and still find a way to get Domingo the ball. So for Lamar, it's going to have to be man with help over the top. But if they're successful in that, I don't think there's necessarily a path for Sela to be able to put up the points that they're accustomed to. So if it's a lower scoring affair as to what these two teams normally put out offensively, I take Lamar because they've been tested and they performed. I would say maybe with a loss in there, but they perform better against tougher competition than what Sela has faced and been able to put up points against.
All right, so Lamar on the books for Brandon. I'm gonna still stick with. I like what Pete Rosamondo does there for Lamar. They also got a veteran coach there in Sela, southeastern Louisiana, Sela. So I'm gonna pick Sela in this one, and they stay undefeated in the Southland. Coach Jackson.
Admittedly so, I haven't given Southeast Louisiana a whole lot of respect or enough respect this year. They've got a good team, but I mean, I hadn't given up no respect the whole year. I ain't gonna start today. Listen, it's in Beaumont, Texas. Lamar's got a little bit of the red tail going on. They need to kind of mess up somebody else's playoff hopes. So I think Lamar. I think Lamar wins.
All right, so we got me on an island. Dang it. Chris Monstrongolo also has Lamar in that one. Okay. Uh-oh. Did I just hang up on Coach Jackson, or did his internet just get zonked out? Oh, he's muted himself. Okay. There he's back.
Now I'm back.
Hey, Coach. Scared me there for a second. I actually just clicked the button when that happened, so I figured I'd done something wrong. All right, let's talk about South Dakota State and South Dakota at the Dakota Dome in Vermillion, South Dakota. Another 4 o'clock kickoff. This one's on ESPNU. Obviously, we know the struggles with South Dakota State without Chase Mason. It was a very close game last season. In overtime, South Dakota State eked out a win 20-17, but they dominate. Well, not really. The series history is 58-52 and 7. It marks the 118th all-time meeting between the Jackrabbits and the Coyotes. The series dates back to 1889. The first game ended in a 6-6 tie. So there you go. Should be an interesting one. Obviously, everyone's wanting to know if Chase Mason's going to get back. He has got over 1,500 yards passing, 11 touchdowns. Luke Marble and Jack Henry have both come in as backups. Luke Marble's out of Smyrna, Georgia in, was it Parkview, or it was Campbell High School or something like that. Brandon, I don't know if you recall Luke Marble at all. Jake Henry, he's also been ineffective. On the other side, you got Aiden Bauman, who's kind of been up and down. He's taken a lot of heat from this team. 1,685 yards, 12 touchdowns. Julius Luffridge for South Dakota State's carried the load, 757 yards, and Alex Bullock in receiving yards for the Jackrabbits. And then L.J. Phillips Jr., what can you say about that young man? Over almost 1,300 yards rushing and 12 touchdowns. The big question has got to be, is Chase Mason playing? Defensively, South Dakota State gets the nod, but can they put enough points up against South Dakota? Because South Dakota is going to get their points. That's the big question for me. Does South Dakota State rebound? This is going to be a tricky one, Coach Jackson. What are you thinking?
I think the loser needs to separate their S and D. But both teams got to get right. So I think it's going to be a good game. It's going to be an extremely hard fought game. I got to go with South Dakota State. I think they're a little more complete team than South Dakota is right now. I think they're playing a little bit better. So let me have the Jackrabbits.
Yeah. Listen, I said South Dakota didn't belong in the top 25 early this season. I think Aiden Bowden was a problem. And they just couldn't get things going. And I still think they picked up a big win against a team that probably was looking ahead to North Dakota State against North Dakota. I don't think South Dakota is that good. Give me South Dakota State in this one as well, Coach Jackson. Brandon, who you got?
There's never a world in which I could have fathomed that South Dakota State would lose three in a row, but the potential is there. if Mason doesn't play, this offense just doesn't look right. I just don't see it being the case. I have to. Everything in my gut says, hey, Mason doesn't look like he's going to play. You have to pick the Coyotes to win this game. But I don't see South Dakota State, as it's constructed now, losing 3 in a row. Listen, I was not as high on South Dakota State as most have been coming into the preseason. I thought they would take a step back. I didn't think they'd take a Indiana State step back there. But if you tell me that they would have 2 losses and one of them was going to be North Dakota State, maybe, a South Dakota game would be another loss in there for them as well. So I just have to lean South Dakota State just because of the pure fact that I don't think this is a 3-loss-in-a-row team. But you know what? Again, not to disrespect to Marble, but if Mason isn't there, I don't see how South Dakota State wins the game. But I have to say that they're going to find a way to win.
So South Dakota State.
Yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow because the analysis says you take the Coyotes in this game, but your gut sometimes has to go and go. Well, I don't never. If the line on that in Vegas, if you would have put South Dakota State losing 3 games in a row, you'd be a millionaire right now.
Yeah, it's not great. But by the way, it's a tough pick. I don't have any idea who's going to win that football game. It's just how it goes. All right, final game we're going to talk about is UC Davis Aggies alternate logo against Idaho. UC Davis at Idaho. It's in the Kibbe Dome in Moscow, Idaho. It's 7 p.m. ESPN Plus. UC Davis, Caden Penix, a freshman's been fantastic. 1,700 yards, 17 touchdowns. Rushing yards, Jordan Fisher has been pretty efficient. He's got over 4 touchdowns, 700 yards on the ground. And then Samuel Gabato Jr. with 7 touchdowns through the air. Idaho, Joshua Wood has come in for Jake. What's the other guy's name is? I can't remember. Jake something or other. What was his name? Jake?
From State Farm.
Lane? Whatever his name was. No, that was the year. Wagner?
Yes, Jack Wagner.
Jack Wagner. Thank you. Dang it. He came in. Everyone thought Jack Wagner was going to be the guy. He hasn't been. Joshua Wood has come in and done a decent job. 1,366 yards, 12 touchdowns, and a disappointing season. He's also leading them with rushing touchdowns as well. 6 touchdowns. And then Ryan Gizario, the wide receiver, is the highest on the team with just 400 yards. This could be a tricky one here. UC Davis coming off a loss. Idaho has had a disappointing season. I don't think they have a whole lot to lose, but I'm going to go with UC Davis on this one. I feel like they get right. It's a tough place to play in the Kibbe Dome, but give me UC Davis coming back and picking up this one, Coach Jackson.
You know how I feel about Coach Plow, so I'm going to have to take the alien-looking horse over the drunken asthma. Give me UC Davis, too.
All right, Monstrongolo has Idaho. Brandon, what do you say? I'm
gonna take Idaho in the Kibbe Dome. I think this is a different looking team under Joshua Wood. So give them a shot. Let's see what they can do. Maybe they can close the year and shock the world.
All right, we got UCD. You guys have Idaho. It should be fun. All right, as we wrap up here, just a few final things. We talked about the big games. North Dakota State can clinch the MVFC automatic bid in Week 11 if North Dakota State beats North Dakota. So that is something you're going to have to watch. Tennessee Tech can clinch the OVC Big South auto bid if they beat Eastern Illinois and UT Martin loses to Tennessee State. I don't see that happening, but it's a possibility. Mercer can clinch the SoCon auto bid if Mercer beats Western Carolina, so that is basically a championship game. And then Prairie View A&M can clinch the SWAC West title if Prairie View A&M beats Alabama A&M, Texas State loses, Grambling loses, Arkansas Pine Bluff loses, and Alcorn State loses.
And they picked the right lot in the parking lot of the gas station.
That's right. So that's it, gentlemen. Week 11. It's going to be interesting. You got 2 more weeks here in the FCS. The polls are all kind of all over the place. You still have those teams at the top. Tarleton State losing was a big deal. And now you're looking at the Montana teams exclusively and North Dakota teams there at the top of the and I don't think that's bad for the FCS, Brandon.
No, I would like to see more movement out of some of these teams. If South Dakota State loses this week, then they're not a playoff team.
Right.
I'm sorry, that's the way it is, and they should not represent being 8th. And if they lose, they'll probably fall to 15th at worst, and still be a fringe playoff team. I think for the committee, and I hope the playoff selection committee is looking at it differently than the polls look at it. You have to look at what these teams are. Kind of, I hate to use this example from the FBS, the Florida State Jordan Travis thing.
Yeah.
If Mason cannot go, and if he's not going to be a factor for this team moving forward, the South Dakota State team is not a playoff team. I wouldn't waste a bid based on their resume or history of work. This team looks totally different with the 2 different quarterbacks.
Well, and the same thing can be said about Mercer's Brandon Atkinson and Teron Dickens for Western Carolina. Of course, they're meeting together. Those teams didn't have their starting quarterbacks, and they were dreadful there to start the season. So, matter of fact, Mercer losing to Presbyterian. So it's gonna be interesting. Sorry, I fell behind on the chat. Looks like you guys are having a good conversation. Thank you guys so much, Coach Jackson. What do you think about here as we're winding down? A couple of weeks left, week 11, and looks like those Montana and Dakota schools are still just the pick of the litter.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk about what Brandon said a little bit earlier about the Missouri Valley Conference getting 6 teams. I mean, I think that's very possible. And really, one of the ways that to kind of avoid that, if UT Martin beats Tennessee Tech at last game, that should give the OVC 2 bids instead of 1 bid. But other than that, I think you are going to get a lot from the MVC and the Big Sky. And dude, we got some good games. This is the best time of the year.
It is.
I'm looking at Saturday.
It is.
So Coach Jackson is advocating for collusion.
Yeah.
Collusion, confusion.
Yeah, that's what happens. Hey, chat, you guys have been awesome once again. Great comments. Great to see you, Jared Walker. I don't know if I've seen you pop in. You guys have been awesome. It's really important that you like and subscribe to the channel. We gained, I think it was 9 subscriptions over the last week. That's huge. So we're now approaching 160 subscriptions. So please like, share, subscribe. New Age saying to look forward to the MVFC Big Sky Invitational Tournament every year.
That's basically what it boils down to.
That's exactly right. But listen, chat, keep on. Thank you guys so much. Chris Monstrongolo, thank you for stepping up and picking up for the guest picks. You always do a great job. Very fired up. It says up to 27, up to 17. Marilyn Bailey stepping in. Hey, Marilyn, thank you so much. She says, great show. Be active. Come on, Marilyn. We want to hear your thoughts on this stuff. Let's go.
Too. Let me tell you, if we were grading fans, if we had a top 25 list of fans,
yeah,
Miss Bailey's top 3. As a matter of fact, she's top and legitimate challenge for number 1.
Oh, all right. Yeah. All right. Steve Hotchkiss saying, good to see you, Marilyn, on board. Yeah. Again, you guys have been great. I know I'm going to we're going to wrap this thing up, let Brandon get back to his 4-year-old and try and get someone to sleep. Too much Halloween candy maybe still on the deck.
What's the point? Just let them run around until they pass out.
Yeah.
Step over them.
Now, see, this is what Steve McKenzie does, and we like him, but he's trying to start new topics, and we're trying to wrap up the show, Steve. Need to increase playoff teams so that you have 7th in the Big Sky, and the MVFC can be in it also. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where...
Just do what they're trying to do for the college football playoff, for the FCS playoff.
Exactly.
The Big Sky and the MVC gets a guaranteed 6 teams each, and then they're still eligible for the at-large. I mean, they would love that. They believe they are the Big Ten, the SEC they believe that they are indoctrinated to these. This is their due right.
Yeah, and you know what? Prove them wrong, because right now, that's the way it's going. All right, we're gonna wrap this thing up. Coach Jackson, you got any final words?
No, man, I'm headed up to Richmond this weekend. We're going to leave Friday. I got a little surprise for my wife. We're going to stop in Berea, and we're going to do a glass blowing class where we're making a decanter set. She don't know it just yet, but that's what
Nice.
we're doing. We're heading on over. We're going to celebrate our anniversary this weekend, so I'm looking forward to the week.
I'm glad you mentioned it. Grant, happy anniversary. Be careful around that hot molten glass.
If I don't make it back and I end up getting burned up, you'll know who did it.
Yeah, exactly. Come back up with scars. Or she hates it and breaks something over your head. Brandon, what's your final thoughts here this week?
I mean, I am about waist deep in drywall dust, getting ready to paint. So Saturday I will be at a brewery drinking.
Nice. Well, you deserve it. You've been through over the last few weeks. It has been it's been a lot on you, and I know. Marilyn Bailey says she's going to see you Saturday, Coach. Chad, again, you guys have been awesome. Thank you so much for all you do. Thank you for the subscriptions. Thank you for watching. We've had lots of great comments. Love to see new people jumping in and talking FCS football. For Coach Jackson, I'm Nathan McCreary. For Brandon Joseph, we say so long. It's been the FCS Checkdown. Have a great weekend. Enjoy some great FCS football. So long, everybody.